that we are the American Indians. Copper color Indians, baby. A real Indian, American Indian is me, not from Africa. Remember that.
African Americans here, but they recently moved here from places like Kenya, Ethiopia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Zaire. But now the brother whose family's lived in this country for generations, occupying space in all the locations, New York, Miami, LA, Detroit, Chicago, even if he's wearing a dashiki and sporting an afro. And if you go to Africa in search of your race, you'll find out quick, you're not an African American. You're just a black American in Africa taking up space. Why you keep trying to attach yourself to a continent where even if you got the chance to go and you went, most people that wouldn't even claim you as one of them, as a pure.
And we are not Africans. We are not African. Are you an African, baby? I'm not African. Nigga, you a lying motherfucker. You nigga talking about we African. You African, nigga. I ain't African.
Then they put you on trial. I was just a young child. Gave you 25 to life, all these years gone by. And you never asked why. All you did was pray to God, all you did was wait your time. Now you about to come home, and I'm about to have a child. It's gonna be worthwhile. It's gonna be worthwhile. Remember nights I cried, now we at the finish line. You was only 21 with a son on the run, no. You was living in the jungle. Got charged for a murder and some weed and a gun, no. You was moving like Rumbo. Did your time like a champ, never rumble. You was on the wrong path, you was young, though. You ain't never let it break you, stay humble. We see the light at the end of the tunnel. I see the fire and the pain in my mama's eyes. I was just a little boy, I always wondered why. Cause you couldn't help raise me by her side. I was taught to speak the truth and never tell a lie. But I know you wasn't capable of homicide. You was just a real nigga, always down to ride. I thank God that he gave you a second time. You got caught up in the field, but you still alive. For the fam, yeah, I know you never jeopardized. All the time that you did it only made you wise. Collect call 30 seconds, yeah, I love you. Learned a lot of life lessons from my uncles. This a letter to my pops up top, and it's still fuck cops. I don't eat pork chops, no. ISO, we got the city on lock, it's going down, young jock, yeah. Then they put you on trial. I was just a young child. Gave you 25 to life, all these years gone by. And you never asked why. All you did was pray to God, all you did was wait your time. Now you about to come home, and I'm about to have a child. It's gonna be worthwhile. It's gonna be worthwhile. Remember nights I cried, now we at the finish line.
All these trials, tribulation. All these trials, situations, trials we be facing.
Long live Ed.
Yeah.
How you saw?
These are my memoirs. Light up a cigar, smoke up the memories as I sit and dust them off. Why do people say it's just to piss you off? Ignore them, no call button and then dress too par. Now they can't test the guards, had to defy the odds. It only get tougher back then, we thought times was hard. Told them don't write me off, told her don't type at all. To all the ones that gave up, this a reply to y'all. That wavy haired kid that you knew, been on a tear since. The cries was lower than the laughter now that I'm hearing. The praise for staying committed to something they played with. It was always about us, it's never about who's your favorite. Took my insecurities and made my future more secure. The way we moving, it's like we really been here before. The proof is in the progress from the year before. Furthermore, we wanted to further things more. They took another route, so what you think we kings for? No angel ever said, yo, who these wings for? Ain't no champion ever said, who these rings for? So don't question what God doing, who you live for. Start accepting who you are and what you do it for. Doing less, doing more, it's really either or. Meet them halfway when one close, here go another door. Here go your dreams, what you running for? Head full of steam, cause you want it, huh? But it's in your genes, you was born a star.
Yeah. Damn, we done.
So, what's up? Give me a 1 if y'all can hear me. Could y'all hear me? Mic check. Good. So we're going to talk about this dude. And you see who he's in bed with. Obvious. The very obvious. Meet Mr. Senator Cory Booker. Meet this little interesting fella. Mr. Cory Booker. So old Sheila Jackson Lee, you know, our West Indian sister, she stepped down from HR40 committee and up rises Mr. Cory Booker from Newark, New Jersey, y'all. You know, these clowns and these fools is going to learn. I'm telling you, listen, they're going to learn. By the way, I'm on vacation and the motion's been filed, bitches. And updated too. See, Sheila stepped out, so we had to add Cory Booker up in there as a defendant. Since you took Sheila Jackson's place with the HR40 committee. Oh, yeah, y'all. Back in January of this year. I'm on vacation. All week is legal week for me. So don't send me no emails because all week is legal week for me. I got motions up the goddamn yang. I'm not playing. Like I said, I came after Martin Luther King. I don't give a fuck. I'm tired. See, one thing, and I got to make shit clear. Let's make shit clear. Let me take this damn thing down right here. This banner. I hate banners. They're so fucking annoying. I hate banners. Shit is annoying. Yep, Cory Booty. First thing first. You running your ass around. All of y'all. Senators. Y'all. Copper color senators. You go and you are fighting for reparations for African Americans with a lion-ass history behind it. Are we going to get into that? With a lion-ass history behind it. And you refuse or you just won't check shit at the door for yourself first. I'm going to start with myself. You running around here representing this government as you're a senator representing thousands of people, Mr. Booker, all kinds. And you know, and I know your little bald head ass. Your little shinnecock looking like, wait a minute, don't get me started. Let me get the camera right. It's starting to bug out again. Oh, I know why it's bugging out. That's why. There we go. Saw it with the lighting. There we go. Let me check myself again at the door, because I'm not going to be running around fighting for Wire and myself. If I hadn't checked myself at the door first with my state government, there it is, bitches. That's my HR. You're damn right. Give me a 1 if you see proof that I identify as who the hell I am running around in these here 50 states. That's my personal ethnic. Give me a 1 if I done check shit at the door with myself first. You see it? I check shit at the door in the state of Connecticut. That's how I'm recognized with my state government. I'm not going to keep playing with y'all dogs. Can I get some fire? Because I literally checked myself at the door with the state of Connecticut government as to my racial classification and ethnicity. Give me fire, because I did. I did what I was supposed to do. Can't be running around here as no goddamn African American. Could I please have fire? Because you just viewed it. My proof. That's my personal proof. Thank you. I know y'all haters won't do it, so fuck you. Because I know you're mad. Fuck you. Look, they go to family again. I'll call you back. I'm live. All right. See, they always do that when I go live, and they know I go live. All right. Now, for the sake, Mr. Booker from New Jersey, I want to know, when you're call yourself sitting on the Judicial Committee, taking the place of Sheila Jackson to prove that your family done came from Africa on slave ships. I'm just saying, Mr. Booker, you got some splaining to do. You see, I'm serious. With your little shinnecock butt, with them Indians in New Jersey, y'all. What are they? Iroquois? What Indians they is? Come on, y'all. Y'all know just as better as me. Good looking family. Prove to me you're African American. Prove it, Senator. Prove it. Prove to me that you, being from New Jersey, Iroquois, that when y'all ran out of power and moved into the urban areas of the United States, New Jersey, y'all know it, get your fucking laugh on. Let's go, Mr. Cory Booker. Prove when you up there, you writing the very law, HR40 committee, and you running around here talking about you are African American. When did the slave ships bring in the Booker family? When? Don't play with me, Cory. Don't play with me, Mr. Booker. Oh, matter of fact, just in case you're watching, Mr. Booker, I think what I'm going to do, because I know you senators are watching. So I'm going to put this in the chat room. That link is just in case Mr. Booker wants to join the panel. Only Mr. Booker. In case you want to step to the panel, Mr. Booker, with your little cute family and your little cute self. Prove to me that mom, dad's grandma, and great-grandma, and great-great-great-grandmas came here on a slave ship from Africa. That's going to be very funny because, dude, I did your genealogy, bro. You need to stop. You need to stop the madness, bro. I'm serious. I want to see what slave ship this mulatto family came in on. You and Uncle Joe need to stop playing because y'all about to get checked at the door today. You and Uncle Jobo. You and Uncle Jobo. About to get checked at the door. And all you paying boo-boos, House of Consciousness, SaNeter, House of Consciousness. SaNeter, y'all, this shit, you can't make this shit up. SaNeter is in a desperate need of Aboriginal Indians' attention because his views, he losing money. His YouTube paycheck getting small because the ABOs ain't in his community. So he's back to playing some reruns of his video of me that I debunked SaNeter's ass because he wouldn't play the video. Wouldn't play the video. So he replayed that video. He need to stir up some stuff. And then he blocked me yesterday when I went in the chat, but I said, play the video. He hurried up and blocked me. Put me in timeout. Nigga, your empire is falling, SaNeter. House of Consciousness empire is falling, and it's going to continue to fall. It's going to fall. Onk. SaNeter. Jabari Leisha. Your empire is falling. Pan-African is dead. Deader than the motherfucker. I want you and Cory Booker. Because, see, we going to go into history today. Oh, Sister Bethy got some stuff. We going in history. And I'm, by the way, Mr. Booker, your office in New Jersey. He was the dude when I called him on the phone. Because, I got to send, the summons to him because he's added in the lawsuit, Mr. Booker. So, he got 3 offices, New Jersey and his DC. And see, I make sure I send to all 3. I only got to send to one office, but me, No, you getting summons delivered to all 3 of your fucking offices. So you can't say that you didn't get them. And I'm going to be waiting for this shits to come in the mail. For the lawsuit. I got to file. And you're getting it. So that's why I said, welcome to the lawsuit. And then they had a nerve to try to change the Senate number. When it's Senate, it's S.40. It when it's S, he introduced it on the Senate, and Sheila Jackson entered it in the House. So I had to make sure that the Senate gets it. So I had to add him as a defendant in the lawsuit. So I moved that motion, and the certified summons is in the mail, sir. You want me to send you, because I can't send it to him electronically. I saved so much money if I did. But I had to mail it. It's gone. You should get it by tomorrow, sir. So now, HR40 committee. Let's read this shit, y'all. Because this shit, their history is bad. You're coming to the Senate floor with a big fucking lie, Mr. Booker. You're coming to the Senate floor, you and Sheila, with a big fucking lie about history. Let's go. I got to do the share screen now. I'm going straight into it, y'all. Oh my God. Let me turn this damn phone down. Getting on my nerves. Leave me the fuck alone. Present. Here we go. All right, y'all. Let's go over to HR40 so we can show where they fucked up with history. You, Mr. Booker, are delivering a lie to the Senate. You're delivering a lie. And I'm about to show you after I read the lie first. HR40. To address the fundamental. Hey, wait a minute, because y'all know my voice is hoarse. Do we have any great readers out there who wants to join me on the piano and share reading this? Or do I got to suffer with my hoarse voice and read it? If you want to join me and you're a good reader like me, could you hit the link? Could you give me a 1 and hit the link? If you're not a good reader, stay in the chat, please. All right, y'all stink, man. Y'all stink. So here we go. Y'all want to help me. To address the fundamental injustice, cruelty, brutality, and inhumanity of slavery in the United States and the 13 American colonies between 1619 and 1865, and to establish a commission to study, and consider a national, consider a national apology and proposal for the reparations for the institution of slavery, its subsequent de jure and de facto racial and economic discrimination against African Americans. Okay, this shit is funny, y'all. And the impact of these forces on living African Americans, to make recommendations to the Congress on appropriate remedies and for other purposes. All right. African Americans, okay? All these people have been served on this goddamn committee. And this is January. Cory Booker's ass reintroduced it on the Senate. So all these individual people here on this committee got served. Now, the act may be cited on the commission to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans Act. Now, here we go. Findings and purpose, section 2. Approximately 4 million Africans and their descendants were enslaved in the United States and colonies that became the United States from 1619 to 1865. The institution of slavery was constitutionally and statutorily sanctioned by the government of the United States from 1787, 89 through 1865. The slavery that flourished in the United States consisted in immoral and inhumane deprivation of Africans' life. Africans, not African Americans now. Africans' life, liberty, African citizenship rights, and cultural heritage, and denied them the fruits of their own labor. So, Africans, this is what happened to Africans. Africans in America, y'all. Listen, Africans. A preponderance of scholarly, legal, community evidentiary documentation, and popular culture markers constitute the basis for inquiry into the ongoing effects of the institution of slavery and its legacy of persistent systemic structures of discrimination on living African Americans and society in the United States. The brutal overthrow of Reconstruction, which represented a significant but constrained moment of advances for Black rights. Oh, that was Black rights, as epitomized by the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution, the Civil Rights Act of 1866 and 1875, and the Freedmen's Bureau, failed African Americans by failing to ensure their safety and security. Following the abolition of slavery and end of Reconstruction, the United States government, through laws enacted at the federal, state, and local level, continued to perpetuate, condone, and profit from practices that continued to brutalize and disadvantage African Americans, including sharecropping, convict leasing, Jim Crow, redlining, unequal education, and disproportionate treatment at the hands of the criminal justice system, resulting in stolen labor and ultimately forestalling landmark contributions in science, arts, commerce, and public service. The civil rights movement and other efforts to redress grievances arising from systemic inequities were sabotaged both intentionally and unintentionally, thus rendering the accomplishments of those efforts transitory and unsustainable, and further embedding racial inequality in society. Examples of discriminatory federal government actions directed against African Americans include A, the creation of the Federal Housing Administration, which adopted specific policies designed to insensitive residential segregation. The enactment of legislation creating the Social Security program, for which most African Americans were supposedly rendered ineligible during its first 2 decades. The Servicemen's Readjustment Act of 1944, commonly known as the GI, Bill of Rights, which left administration of its programs to the states, thus enabling discrimination against African American veterans, and the Fair Labor Act of 1938, which allowed labor unions to discriminate based on race. As a result of the historic and continued discrimination, African Americans continue to suffer debilitating economic, educational, and health hardships, including but not limited to having 1 million Black people incarcerated, and unemployment rate more than twice the current white unemployment rate, and an average of less than 1/16 of the wealth of white families, a disparity which has worsened, not improved over time. The purpose of this act is to establish a commission to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans as a result of the institution of slavery, including both transatlantic and the domestic trade, which existed from 1565 in Colonial Florida and from 1619 through 1865 within the other colonies that became the United States, and which included the federal and state governments, which constitutionally and statutorily supported the institution of slavery. All right. I don't need to keep going because I'm not finished. I identify, compile, and synthesize the relevant corpus of evidentiary documentation of the Institute of Slavery, which existed within the United States and the colonies. All right, we already read that. So I'm going to stop there because this shit is hilarious. Ali Boom, I'm going to let you on, but you can't say nothing until I am finished this whole segment because I don't finish reading. I can't. I got to finish. I can't change the subject, but you came on too late. So now let's go, y'all. Let's get into the funky shit. Now, they're saying this shit happened. They're saying this shit happened. Yeah, see this 1600s, 1500s. Here we go. Where are you? Oh, God, I know I had it up. Now, come on now. There it is. Let's go back. Where's my document? There it is. All right, here we go, y'all. Here's the bust ass shit. Now, colonization during the colonial times. All right, now. The British king, King James I, that's in England. The first American colonies were mostly English and Dutch. However, the Spanish, French, Portuguese, and Swedish were heavily involved as well. British England, on July 12th in the year of 927, the monarchs of Britain gathered at Emont in Cumbria to recognize Athelstan as king of the English. These are Anglo-Saxons, y'all. This can be considered England's foundation date, although the process of unification had taken almost 100 years. Now, here we go, y'all. Brace yourself. In the early 1600s, the British king began establishing colonies in America. By the 1700s, most of the settlements had formed into 13 colonies, right, in the modern day states of Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and South Carolina. Now, hold on now. At the time, all right, at the time, they were supposedly have brought slaves from Africa. Man, you can't make this shit up. New England was only Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. And at the dates that Mr. Booker is saying slaves came here, that England brought slaves here. That was the British. They supposedly brought these goddamn slaves here. That was the only place they could have brought slaves. Listen, y'all, you can't make this shit up. Let me turn. The time frame that Mr. Booker and West Indian Bumbleclot, Sheila, is saying that they brought slaves here, it was only in those places that I mentioned. There was no United States. There was no United States in the goddamn 1500s or the 1600s. So if there was no United States in the 1500s, in the 1600s, and in the early 1700s, all the way up to 1776, the late 1700s, there was no United States. When did the United States gain their independence from Britain? Can you just please unmute your mic, Ali Bamu, and tell me when the United States gained their independence from Britain? Just a year. Somebody put that in the chat room. What year? Can somebody please tell me what year United States gained their independence? What year? Nobody don't got the answer. You celebrate it every year. 1776. Now, if that's the case, Correct. 17, y'all walking with me, right? So how are you going to sue the United States? I ain't finished yet. You're lying about history, Mr. Booker. Wait a minute, I'm not finished yet, y'all. It gets funkier. New England is a region comprising of 6 states in the northeastern United States. Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont. That was New England. Those were the British areas. When? I'm not finished. By 1670, there were British American colonies in New England, Virginia, and Maryland, and settlements in the modern day islands. Modern day islands. Because they were something before. Of Bermudas, Honduras, Antigua, Barbados, and Nova Scotia. Jamaica was obtained by conquest in 1655, and the Hudson's Bay Company established itself in what became northwestern Canada from the 1670s and on. All right. Now, you got New England, you got the British, all right, showing you their areas. Now, the Dutch. New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Connecticut, and Delaware. They were sharing areas. When did the Dutch bring in slaves? Yoo-hoo. You're saying that the British brought in slaves in the goddamn 15 to 1600s. Oh, really? When, from Africa. Oh. You got some explaining to do, Mr. Booker. When did the Dutch bring in slaves? When? Because the Dutch didn't bring no fucking slaves in America. Just where this shit getting funky. For more than 250 years, the Netherlands had extensive colonies in the regions that are known as Indonesia, South Africa, Curaçao, New Guyana, and beyond, where enslaved men, women, and children were treated as barely human. Dutch didn't bring no goddamn slaves to America. Their enslavement took place exactly where they colonized. When the Dutch was in New York, they colonized in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Connecticut, and Delaware. No slaves were bought there. They colonized the people that they took the fucking land from. I'm going to bat with y'all dogs. Same thing with the Brits. They colonized the people that they took the land from. No Africans brought here. And who did they take the land from is the question. Yo, who, Miss Cherokee Bourne, who did they take the land from in New England? Please answer that question. Who did they take the land from in these 13 colonies? Who did they take the land from? Because that's where they had. Could y'all please answer that question? Wild Raven, thank you. The Indians. No slave ships. They already enslaved people. Let's go. I'm not playing. Modern day islands, Bermudas, Honduras, Antigua, Barbados, Nova Scotia, and Jamaica. They enslaved the people that they took the land from. The only place the New England colonizers brought slaves to were Bermudas, Honduras, Antigua, Barbados, Nova Scotia, and Jamaica. They took the Indians off the main Northland and brought them out there. That's the only time colonizers, the British, took slaves from anywhere. They did not go to Africa to get slaves to bring them in Bermuda. They took them from here. I'm not playing. The Dutch enslaved the people in what is called modern day states. New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. They were the Indians. They enslaved y'all. They enslaved the people that was already there with their little system. This is where the Dutch had lands at. Spain. The Spanish Empire would expand across the Caribbean islands, half of South America, almost all of Central America, and most of North America. From 1492, it estimated that during the colonial period, 1492 to 1832, a total of 1.86 million Spaniards settled in the Americas. They settled there, and a further 3.5 million immigrated during the post-colonial era of 1850 to 1950. Spanish explorers claimed land for the crown in the modern day states of, let's go, Alabama, Arizona, the Carolinas, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, and New Mexico. They enslaved the people that were there, including the Spaniards that immigrated during the post-colonial era. If that's the case, the 1.86 million Spaniards that settled in America, and then a further 3.5 million that immigrated during the after the colonial era, 1850 to 1950. The estimate is 250,000 in the 16th century and most during the 18th century. So why the fuck, if you're bringing all this many people over here, these Spaniards ain't say nothing about no African slaves, y'all. Y'all better wake the fuck up. Why, if they brought that many, why would they say, oops, wait a minute, y'all, let's stop in Africa and grab some Africans too? Don't play with me. Don't do it. $1850, 1492 to 1830. 1.86 million Spaniards. And then in 1850 to 1950, more, 3.5 million. Why would you say, oops, I need to stop in Africa and get some Africans and bring them over to America so we can enslave them? And this is where they settle in Alabama. If all these people settle in Alabama, Arizona, the Carolinas, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, and New Mexico, why the fuck do you say, okay, we got to go to Africa and get some slaves so we can enslave them here? They enslave the people that were already there, including their own. In these here southern and western and Midwest states. Why is it not saying that they stopped in Africa for a minute real quick? You got some splaining to do, Cory and Miss Jackson. Y'all think the Indians are stupid. This is who ramshacked the Indian territories. You're looking at it right here. Now here come the French. The French colonial empire in the Americas comprised New France, including Canada and Louisiana. French West Indies, including Saint Dominique, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Dominica, St. Lucia, Grenada, Tobago, and other islands. And French Guyana, with the Treaty of Paris, fake shit, signed on February 10th, 1763. The colony of New France began a British possession. Shortly thereafter, Britain's newly acquired territories were politically organized through the Royal Proclamation of 1763. Where are the Africans? Where are the Africans? Where are they? The Portuguese. Portugal colonized parts of South America, Brazil, Colonial do Sacramento, Uruguay, Guiana, Venezuela, but also made some unsuccessful attempts to colonize North America. Unsuccessful. Newfoundland and Labrador and Nova Scotia in Canada. The Portuguese Empire controlled the Azores, Madeira, Cape Verde, and São Tomé and Príncipe around the coast of Africa, Cochin, Goa, and Colombo, and the Indian subcontinent, Macau, and Nagasaki in East Asia, Mozambique, and Angola in Africa. The only fucking place in the Americas that Portuguese colonized was Brazil. Uruguay. That's in South America, not on the mainland. They colonized in Africa, there, in there, on that place. Nothing about bringing them here. Why would you bring them there when you needed to colonize them there? Don't play with me, Mr. Booker. You came in Brazil and took over the Indians' land in Brazil, Uruguay, Ghana, Venezuela. Don't play with me, Mr. Booker. The Swedish. Sweden established colonies in the Americas in the mid-17th century. That's the mid-1600s, including the colony of New Sweden, 1638 to 1655, on the Delaware River, in what is now Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, as well as the two possessions in the Caribbean during the 18th and 19th centuries. That's the 1700s and 1800s. I'm about to stop here. Y'all, you can't make this shit up. And I'm gonna get after this, I'm gonna get into the violations of the enslaved Indians by these people. Now, I'm not finished. Now, during this whole time that they're doing this colonizing, they didn't bring those people here and colonize them. They colonized them in the areas they were in. So when you're saying America and Brazil, that's South America, not here on the mainland. On the mainland, listen, y'all got to see this shit. The New England, the colonizers in New England, which is those few states, that was it. And I'm talking, listen, in the 1600s or 1400s, they didn't bring slaves here. They were fighting the Pequots, the New England colonizers, and taking them off the mainland and putting them out in the islands, the British Islands. This is all happened when they were under the control of the Queen. All this shit happened under the Queen. All this shit. So my question the only enslavement that took place over here. You had to take the land from the people who were already here before you could do anything. The only enslavement was the enslavement of the Negroes that were here. Indians, the aboriginals that were here. That was the only enslavement of the aboriginals that was here. And when they were roughnecks like the Pequots, they took them off the land north and put them out in the islands. So my question to you, the United States was formed. And listen now, the United States was not formed or begin the processes of being formed until, let's bring up the timeline. Where's the timeline? Nope, that's not it. Let's go, y'all. Because Mr. Booker got to be checked at the door. Let's look at the goddamn timeline, y'all. We got the Spanish invasion. We got Great Britain in the Americas. We got the French and Indian War. Look at these dates. You're seeing what's going on here. The invasion. What I just read to you. Starting in the 1400s. And then Great Britain in the Americas. 1600s. No slave ships from Africa. Then the French and Indian War. All this time. This is what was going on in the colonial times. Miss Jackson, y'all gonna be in trouble. You, Cory, you and Sheila. Because her ass probably sat back and touched her head and said, oh, I got to step down. I done fucked up. Because they brought my fucking family over to Jamaica. They took our ass off the mainland. And Cory, you forgot where you at in the Iroquois territory. The only shit that was going on in colonial times was wars with the aboriginals. Where do Africans fit in this at? Colonial times. The only thing that was going on in colonial times was wars with the Indians and these foreign Brits and French taking their fucking land. No slave ships are needed. Why would they bring? It's all been a lie. Hold up. We got to stop and bring some slave ships of Africans over here. Wait, bro. You're fighting off Negroes, aka aboriginals, because you're taking their land during these colonial times, starting in the 1492 shit. You went through it in the 1400s, the 1600s, 1700s, all the way to 1865. You were fighting aboriginals. and moving them off their land. Why would they bring? All right. We're not going to keep going here. Here we go. Nope. Nope. In 1751, starting from 1492, because y'all been fighting since then with the aboriginals. Like he says down at the bottom, why would you bring Africans over here? Why? That's crazy. We want people over here that look like us, which explains the high numbers in the 1600s of them goddamn slave ships. When did they get kicked out of England? $1600s. Oh, I'm sorry. In 1600s, they got kicked out, right? At the same time, in the 1900s. The same time they got kicked out of England. Oh, we got to stop over in Africa, y'all, and grab some Africans and bring them along with us. Make some fucking sense. I'm tired of it. Wait a minute, I ain't finished. Y'all better look at that. Give me a minute. No Africans. They don't even talk about Africans during this whole process of the Dutch, the French, and the Brits. They speak their whole colonization process here on the North Mainland. Don't speak shit about bringing them slave ships over here. They told you the people they brought over here themselves. Reading their history, they documented this shit. They did not bring African slave ships over here in colonial times. Not even in the 1800s. Your story, Mr. Booker, we're going to go back there. Let's go right back. Here we go. Funny people. Wait a minute. These some funny ass people, man. You can't make this shit up. You can't make it up. I just take it to the top. Cory Booker and Sheila is saying that they brought Africans over here in 1690 through 1865. Their government records tell a whole different fucking history. Their government records says exactly what they were doing in the colonial times and to who. And in the same process, make this make sense. You're fucking at war with aboriginals in the Americas. And you have time during the war to go run to Africa and get slaves and bring them in here while you're still trying to keep your ass from getting killed from wild Indians. You had time to stop in the 1600s and hurry up and run to Africa and get some slaves and bring them over here in 1619 when your ass was coming over here in 1619 to bring slaves. This shit don't make no sense. How are you warring? In the colonial times and post-colonial times, you're still warring in 1812 with Andrew Jackson. But prior to that, in the middle of fighting with Aborigines, you took out a little time to run to Africa and bring some fucking slave ships here. And the only place you landed was in Virginia with them. You lied about it. Busted, Cory. Busted, Jabari. You busted, Sheila Jackson. Y'all lied about history. Y'all done fucked up. As senators from the House and the Senate, you put forth a fucking lie about history in the Americas. You put that shit on the motherfucking table of Congress. Are you out your fucking mind? You put forth a lie and dropped it on the table of the motherfucking Senate, Cory. I'm going to relinquish for a minute Obama. And then we're going to get into the trip. Not yet, because we could talk about the violations later, because I just read to you the violations. Now I'm going to show you how we're protected under that UNDRIP and ADRIP. But that whole fucking, I just showed you how the whole history is a fucking lie. You're not warring and grabbing slaves from Africa at the same time. Everything you did to the Aboriginals, American Indians that were already here. You didn't stop the war for a minute. Hold the war up, everybody, please. Could you just hold up the war for a minute? Hold the war up for 1 minute. We got to run to Africa and get some damn slaves and bring them here while we're fighting in the war. Make that make sense, Cory. You could do every fucking thing in the world to try to hide the Aboriginals, but you not gonna do it. Welcome to the motherfucking lawsuit, bruh. I relinquish. Hello, Ali Bamu.
Good morning, Chief Morning Thunder, my sister from another mister. May I say, being in lockstep with you 100%. Sorry, Miss Jackson, I am for real. Go ahead, sister. How you want to chop it up?
You chop it up. You got the mic. You hold it down.
Oh, I have one question for you, though. If you bring that slide back up about the admission process. I think I know what you mean by it, but I wanted to be accurate in my commentary.
Oh,
You saw where it says admission process that you have under the ratification.
yeah.
People don't draw the timeline as you do, and thank you for doing that. The ratification is only of the 13 colonies. Now, if I'm understanding the admission process from 1791 to 1959, and please correct me, was it Hawaii or Alaska that was last? In 1959, I think it may have been the Kingdom of Hawaii.
Yeah. Or I thought it, yeah. Hawaii was last.
So that's the period of the remaining quote unquote 50 states is the admission process, right?
Yep.
That's what I was going to try to bring some focus to for people in the chat or people who may listen on the replay. Ratification started with Delaware as the first colony to ratify the agreement to be unified as the United Snakes, as I call them, United Snakes of America. Georgia was the 13th. Now, from that time, in 1790, we have the Census and we have the Naturalization Act, right?
Yep.
So you're head counting and you're dispersing what is considered taxation without representation. By the way, the things that we're taught in curriculum is the cause of the American Revolutionary War, right?
Yep.
Fighting over being taxed without being represented. Allegedly under King George III, but no discussion of who were the French, Spanish, and Danish monarchs prior to 1607 and the charter for the Virginia Company. Because that's where you were going. And I'm, big ups to where you are. And as far as Mr. Booker is concerned, New Jersey, what's its colonial history, is your understanding? Because that's what he represents as a senator, right?
Yes.
Now, do people understand the senators represented the state governments, not the people, not even the citizens, using air quote, within the colonial territories? And probably when you get a chance to pull it up, when did they actually go under popular voting for the senators of all the 50 states? You feel what I'm saying, Chief Morning Thunder?
When did they go under popular voting?
Right, because up until then, they were the way that people broke down the bicameral government in the designing of it under the first organic constitution was to give equal representation to the state governments, particularly the smaller ones like Rhode Island and Delaware, versus the quote unquote plantation colonies of the Carolinas, Virginia, and Georgia. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in other words, they argued for the state government to have as equal weight as the other larger populated colonies.
This is what you're talking about right here. Until the ratification of the 17th Amendment in 1913, senators were chosen by state legislators, but not by popular vote.
Now, did you say 1913?
1913.
What happened in that same year, my good sister? The Federal Reserve.
Senators
the
were
IRS.
Yep.
Now, remember, you're talking about the 17th Amendment after the 16th Amendment that created the IRS that was never ratified.
Yep.
I know you're probably aware of that, but just for the audience and for the people watching on the replay, they don't understand how this stuff is illegal.
Yep.
So until 1913, senators were lords representing landlords who were not authorized because they were absquatulating squatters doing what? Land theft?
Settlers. Yep.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I'm just, because I repeat shit that I heard. So since I heard you this morning, let me repeat some shit. Okay. When I sent you the acknowledgement of the HR40, did you see the link where it says, what is it? Now you did yours that was, I gather, from the Senate version posted by Booker.
Yeah, I always go with what they actually put at the table from the actual.
You on point. That's why you the chief. The champ is here. The champ is here. Boom, bye. Boom, bye. Okay, now when Sheila Jackson Lee did hers was representing the House of Representatives.
Correct.
And if you check her link, they claim to have 101 co-consponsors. I started to say co-conspirators. See that Freudian slip? Co-sponsors, and they are co-conspirators.
Yep. Yep.
But I'm going to give you products and the props of acknowledging your lawsuit may have been an impetus. I'm not saying whether she will ever state it, but one thing that you may not be aware of, you do understand she is running for the mayor of Houston currently.
Yes.
So, as they do with their trickery, she's holding on to one branch. You know how the monkeys that they evolved from, the monkey people, the monkey holds the one branch before letting go to swing to the next branch.
Yep. Swing-a-ling-a-ling.
So, in hopes of, if not winning the mayoral seat, she's going to still sit in Congress. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
That should be a violation of the law, shouldn't it not? Oh, by the way, they're already violating the law by being esquires, aren't they?
Yep.
So no lawyer, barrister, attorney, or counselor who swore an oath with a British accredited register, which is a foreign government spying entity, should be in elected office in the United States of America, right?
Correct.
Interesting. You get, because I don't want to sound like I'm babbling, Chief Morning Thunder. You get what I'm saying here. First is that we're continuously arguing with people who are outlaws that are in illegal status and are committing an ongoing criminal enterprise.
Correct.
So, what is HR40 when in the law it states, I think you probably read it, but right at the very beginning of the headline, it says the commission to study, right?
Oh, you got to turn your music down.
Oh, I don't have any music.
Yeah, you do. You got love come down. Ooh, you make my love. You got to turn it down. You got to turn it down. Let me know when you got it down, Obama.
Mike check. Oh, now I'm Obama now?
I mean,
Since you made that comment, let's talk about what is an action.
Whose do you want me to pull up? Hers or his?
If you've got the link there to what the question it asks, what is HR40? Because I want to bang and body slam that NARC crap. You know about NARC, right? NAARC?
Yeah, NARC. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're listed as a defendant, yo. I told you.
I know.
I'm gonna send the link.
But for them knuckleheads, like not a coincidence, Lex Vortex and Queen Ass, who love being slaves. How many times was the word African referenced in their website, forward facing, under the study of the committee? The study of African slavery in North America.
Correct. I'm getting it now. I had to email it to me. I have to email it to me because I can't pull it up on my phone.
Oh, okay.
And let the audience see it.
So on their website, it's highlighted at the very top of the banner. And it's obviously directly from the bill submitted. One other thing, did you notice in there was no CBO estimate? And by the way, CBO, Congressional Budget Office.
Hang on. Okay, let's put this here. I'm doing the share screen. All right, there you go.
You see it's highlighted right there at the top of the page, right there at the top of the banner. What does HR40 say and highlighted?
This bill establishes the commission to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans. The commission shall examine slavery and discrimination in the colonies and the U.S. from 1619 to present and recommend appropriate remedies. Now, how you gonna study 1619? That shit is funny.
Well, what are you going to be studying if you study
Exactly.
anything from that far back? If you were doing, and I don't want you to do this, I'm saying someone, if they were pulling this up and you do like a search and require African, not African American, just search for African, how many times you think it's been mentioned on just that first page?
Of this?
Mm-hmm. And if you scroll down, you'll see what I mean. And this is supposedly recreating the actual bill, HR40.
Okay. It's 3 times.
And all those references.
I'm showing you. It shows 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Only 3 times. Down here, National African American, 2, and then up here somewhere. That's
Now
it.
hold right there. I meant the body of the text itself, though. But you don't have to do it right now. But I'm saying, as you're scrolling through there, notice how many times you see the word African referenced.
You don't see it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not in the body. This searches the page. It's not within this text. It's only 1, 2. See where it's highlighted?
Mm-hmm.
African American, African American. And then when you go at the top, let me go back up. It's not in the body.
Now,
Right
what's
there.
the
That's
actual
the first one.
organization? Yeah, I got you. What's the organization stated up there at the top of the screen?
National African American Reparations Commission.
Now, all of the offenses and the injuries, which is under your umbrella of the tort, because we've already explained this, though, for those in the short bus and maybe mentally challenged, a tort is an injury. So what are some examples of injuries that you would like people to clearly understand that are being expressed that are specific to the American Aborigine, not an African, not a European?
Well, I'm not
As a
going to
matter
say
of fact,
that.
those are the ones that committed the injuries.
I'm not going to say anything for the sake of my lawsuit. I cannot.
Okay.
I'll let the audience poogle around with it because I'm not saying nothing.
I feel you on that, sister.
I'm not
So
giving
whether
them
they
my
want to
information.
respond in the chat on what they consider an injury or harm to be is the issue at hand. Not chains, not chattel slavery, but any and everything that is harmful to the sovereign. Who is the sovereign here in this equation? You know what I mean by there can be only one. So
An American.
when you drop that African, period, this is only about what has happened to the American. Right? So back to the wartime period you were saying. That's from 1493. Hell, I won't even say it stopped, but let's just say for our discussion. Let's say for our discussion, you were saying it was 1865 as they want to argue their time frame is 1619 to 1865, right? That's what Booker is saying. That's what Sheila Jackson Lee is proposing. In this government to now sanction the United States government? Where does it fall under that purview? Because you've already pointed out what the ratification process was. That was 1787 to 1790, right?
Yep.
So from that 3-year period, how are you going to describe those 13 colonial upsquatulating settlements? No, I'm trying to be, I'm trying to be objective and scientific here, not emotional or racial. Though they're going to keep arguing racial categories. But what is the operational behavior of these 13 settlements during that 3-year time period when they become the United States? And the logo from Benjamin Franklin was a snake segmented into 13 sections called join or die. Is that coercion?
That is beyond.
Is that the doctrine of discovery?
That is beyond doctrine of discovery. It's I can't even. I'm trying to keep my lips shut here.
No, my sister. I mean, I think you get what I'm saying because I'm trying to stay
Yeah, I do.
generic. I'm not trying to be going
Right.
in
I'm
the realm
not.
of where you
I'm
be
not.
talking about your
Yeah.
particular
Some
complaint.
things I'm just not going to say, but I'll let you say it. If that's your ammunition, I'll let you say it.
Remember that was an actual logo that turned into a rally flag under the Revolutionary War, and going into that time period you're pointing out as the ratification.
Yep.
Join or die. By 1787, the doctrine of discovery had been implemented by 1452. Simple math. 1452 to 1787 is 330 odd years, right?
Correct.
So these absquatulating European colonizers had been conditioned for over 3 centuries to do what to the Aboriginal, pagan, savage, Saracen, infidel, unbeliever in regards to Christian. Don't they keep telling us every day in 2023 that this is a Christian nation?
Yes, sir.
Don't they teach our children in school every day that this is a nation of immigrants?
Yes, sir.
But they don't tell them that the Christian immigrants came to steal, kill, destroy, and convert or die. That's the option to their Aboriginal ancestors, while calling them the descendants of slaves. I mean, if I'm missing something here, please correct me, my sister. Is this the current curriculum throughout the 50 states in every municipality, locality, and school board of this criminal operation, Uncle Sam, the federal government? By the way, all education is funding through that. What is it? The Department of Education, right?
Yes.
And aren't these conservative Republicans talking about they need to dismantle that Department of Education because of its wickedness, allegedly?
Yes.
Allegedly. And that is imposing a curriculum over the entire nation through a federal process. Interesting. Why aren't they on our side on this? You feel me, sister?
I do.
So, the tort is lying about who I am. The injury is calling me out of my name. That's called a slur. That's called an insult. If you keep speaking it as slander, if you write it down in any form or fashion, if you carve graffiti on a damn wall, etched in stone, call it a pictogram, a hieroglyphic, or alphabets, they're all symbols putting out a thought and a message. That's libelous. Slander and libel are the basis of fraud, right? And fraud vitiates everything. Now, all that word vitiate means is null and void. Fraud wipes out everything that flows from it. So everything here is fraudulent. I don't get how you guys got this stuff twisted. And whatever fraud you claim ties you to Africa, your crime scene is in Africa, Negro.
Facts.
Did I misinterpret something here? Or is that not clear enough?
Oh, it's very clear.
So on American soil, only crimes are committed against Americans. The only priority is the American victims of crime, right? Who's that lovely clan or tribe on your screen? That's your people?
No, that's Cory Booker, who needs to explain how he became an African American while he places the fucking bill on the Senate table.
So that's his mother and father?
A whole lying history. Yep.
So what's his parents' lineage? Where are they from?
They're all New Jersey.
So his mother and father are native born New Jerseyites?
Yep.
Not even go back to his grandparents, but
I did his genealogy. Yo, nothing from Africa. I went back further in his than I did my own. That's how I was able to find Sheila, her family in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, girl, bye.
And isn't it quite convenient or interesting that it's, where did you show her lineage with the other criminal, Andrew Jackson? I don't know that it necessarily is there or not, but that's the first of squatulating land speculation. Do you know the phrase land speculation, when it happened at that time, was considered a crime? No, it is his Uncle Jim Crow Joseph Robinette Biden Jr.
There he is, Cory Booker and Uncle Joe.
Who was the longest serving representative of the Democratic state government of Delaware, which is the first one to be ratified into the criminal enterprise, is the home of all registered corporations worldwide, and was the last to abolish, quote unquote, chattel slavery in December of 1865, not Juneteenth in Texas. Just
Democrats.
a little fun fact, soon. So, if he's been a Democrat, I guess you could say, representative of that state for 36 years, what should we know about that? What should we understand about Delaware? Now, I would argue, being all corporations registered foreign and domestic, and for example, that would be Apple, Google, Microsoft, or any of the governments that fall under the crown. And I'm sure you're aware of this, Queen Mother. Most people don't seem to understand that. The terms that we use, like parish and counties, those all flow from the first charter, the first contract of the Virginia Company, not the Virginia Colony. The Virginia Company established the Virginia Colony, right, my sister? Under what level of authority does a charter have?
I'm sorry, I lost you. I was pulling something else up.
What level of authority does a charter have? A charter.
I don't know. You got me there.
Well, that's what King James is claiming, sending people over here to set up operations and then turn loose criminals out of their debtor prisons under the judgment of transportation. So when people are talking about the outlawing of the transatlantic trade, not slave trade, transatlantic trade was them shipping their criminals over here. Now that's the English version. You more, eloquently this morning pointed out the Spanish version and the Portuguese version. Spain was given dominion over here through their contract under the Doctrine of Discovery. Portugal had control of the coastline of Africa and Brazil. That's where, what is it they're told on slavevoyages.org? 85% of Africans that were transported under Portuguese transportation wound up in Brazil.
Right.
Alone.
None of them came here. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm like, you need to go over there and you need to go to Portugal and file your fucking claims. I'm not playing with these people. Reparations for us. Aboriginals. That's all.
And the more legitimate legal term is restitution and restoration.
Correct.
Because you can't repair something that you stole. First of all, the theft must be addressed and it is returned to the appropriate owner. That's what happens in lawsuits daily, isn't it?
Yep.
What's that there, my good sister?
This is a list of all the senators and representatives that held office that owned slaves. And it's starting many years. All of them. And the majority, 90% of them are Democrats. That's what I'm looking at.
What colonies were the actual states? Or are they still colonies when you're looking at that list?
Well, when you're looking at them, they are some states. Let me see. I'm going back as far as 1829, 1815, 1796. Let's see if I could do it in order, earliest to latest. Let's see if I could filter this.
Now it seems that it would be after 1790, then it would be the United
There we go.
States.
I filtered it. So the earliest is 1789. This is at the time
Of ratification.
most of the ratification.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them are Democrats. Most of these people, 1797, 1799. Then we get to the 1800s.
Now remember, until the actual split with Andrew Jackson, from Thomas Jefferson to Andrew Jackson, they were Democrat Republicans.
Right.
And the Whigs.
Yep.
So those first group up
They
at
got
the top
some
were
Whigs
probably
up
Whigs.
They got some up here that's Whigs.
Mm-hmm. And then you had the Whigs and you had the Federalists.
Yep. They got Whigs and Federalists in here. See?
Mm-hmm.
Democrat, Republican, like you said. Then down here, the Federalists. All right. Rhode Island.
Yeah, it was until when Jackson ran and didn't get the first time, I think it was 1824, he had the popular vote but was not selected as president, for example. That's when the party split into Democrat and Republican under Andrew Jackson. Then he re-ran in 1828.
There we go.
And got
Jackson.
reelected in 1832.
Republican Jackson. Let me see. Oh, no, these are senators. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
They're not presidents. Yeah, there's a Whig guy, George. There's a couple of Whig. But for the majority are Democrats. And our people, this shit is crazy, man. It's crazy.
So let's focus for a moment here on the issue itself. If you're talking about slavery, removing the American Indian for the moment, because you had a very legitimate point. You're saying there were constant warfare going on from, I would argue, 1492 until 1865. So then what are we talking about as slavery? We're talking about prisoners of wars that have been captured and being forced into labor against their will on their own land. I think they call that sharecropping.
Yes.
So sharecropping could have been going on from 1493 to 1865. I'm talking about like isolated ways in very small numbers. You feel what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now, the actual coordinated effort that they want to tell us is plantation slavery. And I like what A1 has brought up, the Negro slave owning plantations.
Yep.
And who would that population be and in what number? The Slavs? The actual slaves?
On their colonial lands or colonial states?
Now we're talking transitional too with the timeline. So pre-1790 and post-1790 until 1865.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So when they try to bring this argument up, and we don't have to defend shit, Queen Mother. I mean, I got you back 100%. I'm just saying for discussion. Okay. The issue of slavery is framed inaccurately. And then to keep perpetuating the narrative that is attached phenotypically or by bloodline because you can find an African nigga in the woodpile. Didn't they use that to find the American Indian in their absquatulating cells in the Pocahontas myth? They found one Negro to profess themselves to be the American Indian. Is that not true? Or whether it's Walter Plecker or whomever, including Elizabeth Warren with her high cheekbone, Cherokee fraudulent self. Right? But she still is a senator representing Massachusetts, right? Where's the Cherokees in Massachusetts? She has, for her entire career, been used by corporate and government agencies, including universities and the state and federal government, to claim herself to be a Native American. You know, she was the solo Native American employee at Harvard. Did you know that about her?
No.
That's how they got funding. You feel me? I mean, I'm saying she's claiming it to the university, and the university is using her on paper to get federally directed funds to the university, claiming they have a Native American staff and faculty member. You feel what I'm saying, my sister? Part of the identity theft and fraud that's ongoing with these imposters. These are Native Americans and these $5 hoes. Okay? Now she claiming her grandmama told her because she had high cheekbones. Her grandmama was told, like Walter Plecker told these bastards, you got one American Indian as your great, I don't know how many goddamn greats are we talking about. Again, the one nigga in the woodpile made white people American Indians. And you say this constantly, but the full-blooded Aniawea, Arawak, called a Cherokee, called a Taino, called whatever, being called out of their name and being told they have to prove who they are by fact of existence. You are who you are with what's blood running around in you, the people that make up who you are. You are that. But you're going to listen to someone else tell you what you are not. I mean, if I'm missing something, sister, please correct me. So whether you're convinced, brainwashed, or taught through curriculum that you are Kunta Kinte and I'm going to beat your nappy black ass into Toby, is that a tort? Is that a violation of Article 3, Article 11 under ADRIP? And Article 3 says the indigenous person has the right to self-determination and not be subjected to being prevented being who you are. I'm paraphrasing it, but you know what I mean in that clause. And then Article 11 states, I put it in quotations, and I sent it to you, my good sister, protection against genocide. Please tell me where we are being protected.
You're not. Okay, I'm closing out a lot of this shit.
I tried desperately to share this with some young thickheads just yesterday, but just once again, real clearly, Article 3, indigenous people have the right to self-determination. By virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. Where is the American Negro free to do that without being molested? And if we are being molested, Article 11, quote, protection against genocide, unquote, as in indigenous people have the right to not be subjected to any form of genocide or attempts to exterminate them. Would rat poison be something? And you know, we've had this discussion before. Remember we had that movie night with Chief?
Yep.
And Stop the Genocide Ministries?
Yep.
Would rat poison and cosmetic products, and would that be an example of an attempt to exterminate a people? Would be Planned Parenthood clinics that are aborting 500,000 of our Aboriginal teenage mothers' babies? And right now we're ticking at about 10.5 million plus in the 21st century, because 500,000 a year since 2000. You feel me, my sister?
I do.
Is that an attempt to exterminate the American Aborigine? Is gentrification, redlining, mass incarceration, these are not attached to Africans. These are individual injuries against the only American being done by foreign invading aliens, legal or illegal. And can I circle back one more time to 1790? Because I'm still confused, my good sister. Where is the court system of the first applications for citizenship under the Naturalization Act of 1790? And who has followed the law and proven themselves to be of good moral character and not an alien enemy? Now, automatically, all the people in question are alien, correct? There's only one American. Everyone else, by definition, is alien. Don't care how long, don't care where from. You're from somewhere else. I don't give a damn how long you've been here. Now, if you don't have the approval or the acknowledgement or the consent of someone's home that you come into, you are violating their home, right?
Correct, sir. That is correct.
If you kidnap their woman or their husband or their wife, and you indoctrinate their child, tell them they are something other than their parentage, where does that fall under the ADRIP and the UNDRIP?
Violation of right to self-identify.
And self-determination.
And self-determination, correct.
And when you keep culturally, what's political, social, and cultural development? When you do it under any of those categories, and all of them, you are attempting to wipe them out culturally. Is that genocide? I believe that's already in the Nuremberg trials and the Geneva Conventions and the International Court of Criminal Appeals in The Hague. That the attempt to culturally eradicate an indigenous people is tantamount to genocide. So please correct me in my error, my good sister. In 2023, do they teach in the curriculum of all the schools in all 50 states, K through 12, that the American Indian was exterminated?
No, they do not. Yes, they do. I'm sorry, yes.
If they teach that, explain to me who the hell are these Native Americans on reservations?
Facts.
If you did not exterminate the American Indian, that means somebody exists today who is their inheritance and their blood descendants, correct?
That is correct.
So then both those things can't be true, can they? And if you succeeded in exterminating, how many lawsuits should be going daily throughout the Article 3 district court system and the international tribunals for the effective extermination of the American Indian? And if the American Indian was not exterminated, the people called Native Americans are operating a fraud and are implementing identity theft daily. Under whose direction? Federal recognition? Now that makes the federal government, Uncle Sam, and all of its constituent 50 state entities, that makes them complicit in this crime, right?
Yep, and you keep holding it down. I'll be right back. The audience is listening. Got a ladies' room. Take it up.
The simple facts of the matter are, and whether or not I respond to any of the people that are on, their comments and the question. Anyone who really has a need, is driven, is compelled to convince themselves and find an African, like they called it, a nigger in the woodpile. The one-drop rule, which, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, someone can correct me if they're in Louisiana, is still on the books, specifically in the state of Louisiana. If the one-drop rule works for one African ancestor to wipe out the American Indianness in you out of your 31 other ancestors, 63 other ancestors, 127 other ancestors, when you map your tree back 5, 6, 7 generations, explain to me how that one African sperm wipes out your entire Aboriginal existence. Therefore, you are agreeing with the same white supremacist notion that one American Indian Negro that they go find mysteriously and certainly don't map in some accuracy makes them the American Indian and you not the actual heir to the American Indian. Now, some will keep arguing and going back and forth over Indian is a misnomer and it's a racial classification. All those things are correct. That's why I keep stressing the only inaccurate definition is American. because in that definition, it expressed clearly the copper-colored aboriginal races, plural, which means there was obviously multiple nations, tribes, groups, and families, whichever term works for you, that they acknowledged encountering when coming here. And you already know the second clause of that statement, they identified who the criminal was. Now adopted, co-opted, or actually, as should be said in a court of law, the identity is stolen by the European and his or her descendants. No mention of African whatsoever. If in 1828, for 200 years under colonial British invasion, when Noah Webster bothered to make that definition, why didn't he reference that these Americans were now African slaves? For 200 years, from 1620 to 1828, they had already set up settlements. They were already upsquatulating crackers and settlers. They were already with supposed indentured servants and or Slavs, which you may call slaves. But there is very few and almost no reference to African or Africa. What's confusing about that? The only thing that you are obviously confused about is that you desperately need an African origin story. And what will that story give you other than you wind up in shackles and a chattel slave? Now, one final thing about this discussion, if the sister hasn't come back yet, about slavery in and of itself. And again, this is the study and the belief system, because all this stuff is based on belief. There's not any fact, very little of it is fact. It is proven to be recreated by people agreeing to something. But those who have agreed and have studied the history of slavery, it has identified the American institution as a peculiar one. And the one thing that's peculiar about the alleged American chattel slavery, if it existed, and if you want desperately to agree that it exists for you, is that people were born a slave, and that every slave gives birth to a slave, and that slave was a slave from birth to death. And then they took it a step further to attach that condition to an African. So whether you convince yourself or you find an African, and you may, I don't know what your personal circumstance is. If you do, that person in law, according to the oppressors that you claim you're also fighting against, in law, they are a perpetual servant under doctrine of discovery. They were born a slave. Now, if they're a male, they can't give birth to a slave, but I guess their sperm is slave genetic material. And that's what you're supposedly finding by spitting in a cup with 23andMe and Ancestry.com. If it was a female, and not many, if any, I still have yet to find some massive number of African women transported here, that means they must have, on paper and in law, under the doctrine of discovery, codified in 2005 with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, that the Aboriginal woman is being convinced she is an African. And therefore, all people who come out of her womb are born into chattel slavery. Now, my queen has returned. There are some specific issues we need to address, whether we agree to them or not, because this is not going to go away anytime soon. Cory Booker and Sheila Jackson Lee are not just two people. They are representative of a mindset, the vast majority of the people who have been told that they are Negro, colored, mulatto, Black, and now African American, have held to be true for them and their existence for a very, very long time.
And this is why they're going to have to prove it to the Senate and House with the stand-up debate. Because you could put The bill is not even. It is not even put on the table as a bill. First of all, it's a study. It's a study.
And that's why I asked you, did you notice in there it does not have a CBO estimate attached to it? What is the significance of that, of legislation that is put forward in the House and the Senate?
It's not gonna be.
No, what I'm saying is whenever there's legislation put forward, why is a CBO estimate either required or pertinent? Because if it's going to be passed into law, it's going to cost something. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So they're saying in the Congressional Budget Office, zero amount has even been submitted in regards to this nebulous thing called House Resolution 40. And I'm not sure if it's Senate Bill something other than 40. So again, for the women, since I will never give birth to another person, I think it's extremely important that our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunts, our big mamas, our great grands, I think you women, I would suggest, seriously need to discuss what birthing other people and giving birth to slaves and the significance of such a notion even being uttered, let alone considered. How damaging is it to you to tell your daughter, the potential mother, that she still lives and exists under forever circumstance of giving birth to slaves? I mean, not a coincidence. Lucky Guzman, Lex Vortex, whoever you are, I'm only naming you because y'all, for whatever warped, sick reason, come over to this community trying to browbeat, bully, and intimidate people to believe something. First of all, that's absolutely a false narrative at best, and an outright lie and a crime against the humanity and existence of people to even consider that a person can be born into bondage, can live a slave their entire life, and be forever in perpetual servitude to, whether you call it a white man, because many of you also hold and subscribe to white supremacy, or to a person who happens to be skinfolk that ain't your kinfolk, that sold your supposed ancestor into bondage. I don't see how you're going to accept and ever explain how that works. And what culpability and responsibility does that person have? And this has been the most infuriating thing for me ever since they let Cynthia Erivo play Harriet Tubman. She is known as a British actress to be the descendant, documented, of a Nigerian slave trader. And she desperately, in all of her press coverage, did not want it exposed or revealed to the American Aborigine and the Hollywood community that she was the descendant of a Nigerian slaver. Now, that's a fact. You can look it up for yourself. You can confirm or deny it as you choose. But that's for you African niggas that keep running up in this community, spilling your bilge and your toxic poison.
Nothing to do with us.
Wild Raven said, Queen Mother, Wild Raven said, no offense to Africans, but we Americans don't find Africans attractive. That's the honest truth. Now, okay, I'm not trying to get into character assassination or personal preferences. People love who they love, whether it's the same sex or the opposite sex, maybe even an inanimate object. But when you start getting into bestiality, babies, infants, because we all won't name who these particular people are. Culturally, there are people who digitally penetrate a baby girl as part of their process of indoctrinating them into their culture. This sort of degeneracy, how are we letting that be attached to us, my queen? How?
By the
and all these people bringing their cultural degenerate rot to our doorstep.
Yeah.
Chief Holiday this morning, and I don't think he just said it's an offhand comment, but he was talking about moratorium on all immigration, period, legal or illegal. And I've already said, I suggest there has been no legal immigration ever. Because until I see, like, you pull up the receipts of the factual record of those courts that the original absquatulating crackers submitted for their citizenship. And don't you find it mysterious how many times of public records and public places and spaces been burned? It's convenient, coincidence, or diabolical? You know, I don't think sometimes we understand the significance of the discussion that we're having every day on this and why this continues to go in circles like a dog chasing its tail. You know, we refuse to focus on there is only one injured party, and I would argue, whether it might sound arrogant or not, there's only one injured party specific to the planet. Because I don't care about these small hat people or the nation of Israel claiming all these great things and how many pogroms they had. By the way, that was always amongst their own, in their own, and in their own neighborhood. Wasn't even nowhere on the African continent. Why didn't they go set up shop in Europe where they were getting fucked and getting run out? But we haven't been run out of our own house. They continuing to try it. Now they're trying to transport your mind to believe you can go to VR. I guess that's what the reason is. That what they set up virtual reality, Chief Morning Thunder? So these wannabe African Americans can unplug and zone out in a virtual world of African origins?
All I'm going to say is Jabari, SaNeter, Lex, and all you pan boo-boos. Here's the factual government timelines. Show me when the African slaves came up in here.
Let's talk about the contract situation, because they love to throw the UCC and commercial code around, you know, whether it's Moors or whomever. What would be the contract issue between who purchased a slave and who sold a slave?
Shit, they talk about slaves were sold just by a handshake.
But that would be at the point of agreement, right?
Correct.
So let's use one example. What about the Kingdom of Dahomey? You've heard the narrative and the myth about it, right? They just showed you the Woman King movie just recently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the Dahomey Kingdom.
Yep. If you look, don't forget who the what European was there to grab him, because it could have been a Dutch, could have been a Portuguese, and in that case it was Portuguese. Where did they bring the African slave? They didn't bring him to the colonies or this part of the headland. That's what you need to know.
Mic check, mic check. Am I still in the hunky hole?
No. Oh shit, you got the hunky hole?
Did you, I don't, not to digress, but did you see that nonsense that Ab let Noxious do pretending to be Supreme Chief Holiday?
All right, I didn't see that.
Oh my God. Anyway, let's not digress from our discussion about how they let Slavs come over here and impersonate us, ironically. You were saying? Because I kind of faded out for a second there.
Sorry about that. I had to take that call.
Yeah. It was an amusing thing of him attempting to call himself Supreme Chief Noxious.
Oh, brother. I didn't see that.
It's kind of like Big African Pride. As one of his forays, his alter ego, the Incredible Hulk to his David Banner.
Oh, brother.
I mean Bruce Banner. Oh, sorry, David Banner, if I threw you under the bus.
I'm done. That's about it.
But even in that, even whether we laugh this off or not, the way these absquatulating crackers have traded places. I know you've seen the movie. I love it. It's one of my favorite comedies with Eddie Murphy. You know,
Trading
him
places?
and Dan Aykroyd. Yeah. The actual message of trading places. You know, we laugh this stuff off and
This
don't
shit is
understand
real.
the significance. Exactly. So when we're having our place traded, when we're being displaced, please, people, especially in this community, you love your mama, your daddy, your parents, your children, your grandparents. You love them, but they are misguided. And this is not something to take lightly because you're losing an inheritance. Do we have to say it that way, Chief Morning Thunder? You can't buy and sell the land. You can only be of it or apart from it. And there is no one other than the American native born autochthonous to this land. If you don't understand everybody else who's waving the red, white, and blue and claiming hyphenated status, Asian American, African American, Hispanic American, Native American, they are all co-conspirators and collaborators in the largest crime in human history. I don't think I can express that enough. It is
Okay,
not an
so
exaggeration.
so now is it going to be Ukrainian Americans?
It is. Afghani Americans. It is. Syrian Americans. You don't know how quietly Syria has been slipped in
I'm talking
between
about
Afghan and Ukraine?
mm,
No, they did the same thing with the Syrians. Remember now, don't forget, do you know we still have fallout from ISIS, Queen Mother? And I mean the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, not the one they tell you from ancient Kemet. You feel me? We have Iraqi and Syrian Americans been given the same bag that they gave the Afghanistan. The Afghanis were given $100,000. The Ukrainians were given $150,000. That already tells you what they value, doesn't it? When they put a higher price tag on something, what are you taught and explained to you in commercial enterprises? Higher the price, higher the value. And a nigga's price is zero. You got rabbit season, you got duck season, you got deer season, but niggas are never out of season, huh? How twisted are we getting this? You know, y'all need to get your priorities straight. If you don't understand, there's a death sentence over every American's head. They already told you, they teach your children, we exterminated the American Indian. You gonna tell me they don't intend to fulfill that? You gonna tell me that it's not ongoing? If you don't understand, my avatar tells you right there that we are prisoners of war. So if you're a prisoner of war, that means you're constantly being captured. What do they like to tell us in this fraudulent narrative, my sister? That someone was kidnapped and snatched from somewhere else? And they keep pointing you over there to the African continent, as opposed to you were kidnapped and snatched down the block, or the city over, or the county over, or the state over. So where were you kidnapped and snatched from, my sister? From South Carolina and dropped into Connecticut?
No.
No, I'm using you as an example.
We were,
I'm playing fun. You know, I'm just playing fun with the conversation.
We were actually forced off. When made run, we had to run to the north so we wouldn't get burned.
Yeah, I think that's called the Indian Removal Act, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think the next lie they told us in the 1950s, between World War II and going into the Vietnam War, what did they call the Great Migration? You see what I'm saying? But we don't see it. There were the bombed out communities from the 1920s, 30s, and 40s during World War II.
Yes.
And when our soldiers who survived did come back with body bags, did they get GI Bills?
Nope.
Did they get VA home loans?
Nope.
Did they get Federal Housing Authority support?
Nope.
Did they go to college?
Nope.
Did they get any benefits whatsoever from Uncle Sam? And they survived the hell of a cost. They were shipped overseas to go and fight for who?
Yours truly.
So when we come back home to bombed out communities, where were we going to go and seek opportunity if in the South they had all been raised, bombed out, like Sherman did Atlanta? Remember that famous scene in Gone with the Wind?
Damn, you went way back.
But isn't that what they show us how many goddamn times has that movie been shown? Gone with the Wind, Wiz, and God forbid, Birth of a Nation.
Oh God. Birth of a Nation is a hot fucking mess.
But they brag about their violent overthrow of us. And we just accommodate, capitulate, turn the other cheek, let go, let God, leave it in the hands of the Lord. I think you know what I'm saying. I'm not here advocating for any religious, political perception, perspective, or position. I'm just asking a question. Were not these messages said to us through Big Mama out of the terror she was given in her eyes, in her life? Don't say you're an Indian. Nigga. You are now colored. Your grandmother, your great-grandparents. You're now colored.
Don't say.
And you're giving birth to Negroes. And Negroes give birth to blacks. And blacks are now giving birth to African American. And if you circle the loop with African, what did I just tell you? They said the American institution of chattel slavery was based on Africans giving birth to Africans that were slaves forever. So when you come around with me around that shit, I would hope to slap the taste out of your fucking mouth. Come talking that shit to me and mine. You talk that shit to yourself. Look in the mirror and tell yourself you're a nigga slave forever. But don't you dare come around me and mine. Because there's some scalping season about to go on up in there.
I hope you're listening, Cory Booker. I know you are.
Now, our Jamaican brethren and sisterhood, you know, y'all going to have to seriously, now it's not just directed at Sheila Jackson Lee. Okay. Or what's his name from the Fugees? Oh God, man, I'm drawing a blank right now. Or the Wyclef. Yeah, Wyclef Jean, but he's Haitian though. But same thing. Okay. Right. Just different island. Or did you see the Bob Marley movie that's finna drop?
Oh God, no.
Mm-hmm. It's also coinciding with the Killers of the Flower Moon. You know that narrative they're finna push with Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and the ultimate lying Italian stallion, Martin Scorsese. They are trotting out these mongoloid hybrid imposters and setting them up with the story, the narrative of how the FBI was created with J. Edgar Hoover. Did you know that?
Oh my goodness.
That's what this story was. This is where the beginning of the Federal Bureau of Investigation came from, the Osage Massacre. And they're going to mix, they're going to do, what does they want like to say, a remix single? They're going to do a lot of mismatching, mixing up the story, like with the Sarah Rector or the Mary Ellen Pleasant or the Biddy Mason, those type of matriarchs that held the wealth, that represented oil, gold, and land owning. They're going to put it in the hands of these Mongoloid women, because they've turned you into an African slave breeder and say now she is the authentic American Indian matriarch.
Okay.
You feel me?
That's why I'm so glad he dropped the lie on the desk of the Senate. That's all I needed. You dropped it January 1st, 2023. January 1st, 2023. He dropped a lie of our history on the desk of Congress. That's all the fuck I need.
And this is of historic magnitude, because it's not a coincidence that Ron DeSatan is trying to manipulate history, literally, throughout the state and through all the school districts in Florida. Or the similar process that, because I believe officially now Texas is where almost all of the textbooks get determined from how they're purchased. You feel me? In other words, they purchase what is considered authorized textbooks. And then the rest of the 49 states and school districts follow suit. You see what I'm saying, my sister?
I do.
And I know you dragon killing, my sister. So, I mean, I got you back. I'm in your corner. Big ups to you. Are you going to put back that build on Victor Blackwell that we tiptoed down this with the African-American museums? Please put together his little video and that 5 minute of Joy Reid. Did you see where she ran down through Jamaica and said and pronounced half of Jamaica Ghanaian?
Oh my goodness.
If you haven't seen that, you gotta
didn't
watch
see that one, but
you gotta watch that.
Brother Man from the news, he gonna get his. He gonna get his. He gonna get his. But I'm about to get out of here. I've been on for 2.5 hours. I got other things that I have to do legally. So you guys, I love you guys.
Thank you for the time, Queen Mother. I won't hit you with the Soul Train now because we've been so solemn in our discussion, because this is serious business. This is not for entertainment purposes only.
No,
who we are, what we are, that's not going to change. But what you think about it is the problem. Not what we are, it's what you think about it. And you have a wonderful day, my queen. My sister from another mister. Keep them running.
Hey, y'all, smash the like on the way out. I'm out.
Time's been moving slowly, so we already in too deep. Can't get no sleep on each other, heavy teasing all day, and when the sun sets, you asking me to come through, kick it with you. Night turn to morning through, then you let's face